Good morning, everybody, or good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. We're very glad that you're here with us today. It's a warm morning in Richardson, Texas, which can get cold at any point of time. That's the beauty about Texas. You can see all the four seasons within a matter of a few hours. But just like our wide roads and our big houses, our spectrum of things that can happen from a point of view of the weather is also very wide, but it's a good place. You find community here, you find, well, if you're a foodie and whatever kind of food you want will be here. Any particular activity that interests you, you will find it here. You like driving endlessly in the same state, well, that's what Texas is for. It's the biggest state in the continuous area of the United States, and it's a beautiful place to be here. We are right in the heart of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in a city called Richardson. Dallas being the prominent city, the whole metroplex is referred to as Dallas, but then it's a lot of different smaller cities that make up this whole place. But it's a very thriving place. That's the best part. And that is something that should interest you as well, because when we talk about the intersection of industries, when we talk about, okay, we have the West Coast, which is all tech focused, we have the East Coast, which is the financial sector. What really is Texas? Texas is a mix of everything. It's the melting pot of professions, it's the melting pot of the industry, it's the melting pot of cultures. It doesn't matter what part of the world you come from or where you can kind of dot your heritage to, you will find something here in Texas. So here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that's the beauty of this place. My name is Gaurav Shekhar, and I'm the program director for the Graduate Business Analytics program here at UT Dallas. I'm also an alum of UT Dallas, and today's session is going to be very straightforward. We'll talk about the program a little bit, and then we'll straight away jump into your questions. Now, if you have questions at this point of time, I've muted everybody. We'll keep it that way. What I would recommend is you put your questions in the chat, and right after I'm done with my presentation, which should be about 20 minutes, I will straight away jump into your questions and we'll take them all. We generally take all the questions. This session is being recorded, so in case you want a copy of this, this will be sent to you in a couple of days. But why exactly business analytics at UT Dallas? And again, even before we answer the question, business analytics at UT Dallas, I want to answer the question, why business analytics at all? Why does the world really care about people with this particular skill set? It's a hard skill set. It's a specialized skill set. It's not a generalized skill set. It's not that people every other day just do analytics. No. I want to set the record straight there. Analytics is not a generalized job. It's a very highly specialized skill. And that is the reason that the kind of money that our students make, the averages always hit somewhere close to 100K, the top end going towards 250, 300K. That happens because of this specialization or the specialized skill set that you're earning out of the program. Now, if you have to really answer the question, why business analytics, we really have to look back into our history. The 70s and the 80s was mostly about using computers into smaller settings, like small and medium businesses. Personal computing came in home, so everybody was using computers. And the question that comes up is that why do we have all these computer systems or applications and all? The one single answer to that is just to manage data. Data management is the number one reason why computer systems exist. Now, since data management is the number one reason, 70s and 80s was mostly about, okay, let's start using these systems for our day-to-day work. But I would say 70s, 80s, and maybe early 90s, the focus was more on establishing these systems. Let's find good ways through which we can connect departments, people, resources, and use these systems. 90s somewhere the question was, okay, well, what about all this data that is collected? And that's where the leaders plunged into looking at analytics, looking at historical trends, looking at what this data was trying to tell them about the history so that they can learn from it, not commit the same mistakes, and become more profitable. When the companies have need of that sort, what they do is they reach out to trading partners, and yes, they were there to help people learn analytics. But the speed at which the need to have the skill set was growing was not the speed at which it was being taught or trained in these organizations through this method. So that's where the industry looked at academia, and it's not something that we've had for a long period of time. But honestly, the first business analytics program did come up in 2007 in the US. And the next 5 to 10 years, we saw a lot of top universities starting this program. So that is from a program standpoint. But the need for analytics has just grown because people have realized they cannot really make decisions using their hunch, or in my experience, this is what happened. Data tells a lot of things very clearly, and it in fact quantifies your efforts in the past. It quantifies your projections for the future and helps you gain a better understanding of situations, both past and the situations in the future. Another thing is, it doesn't matter what sector you're talking about, financial sector, tech, real estate, oil and natural gas, you name it, and data is generated there. And wherever there is data, there's a need for analytics. Companies need professionals who can understand the language of data. And to be honest, it's not very straightforward. And that's what we train people in the program. But as they need this skill set, there is a dearth of qualified analytics professionals, major dearth. And that's where we factor in. So if you're thinking of getting this in the next couple of years, this is something which will really still put you ahead of the curve when it comes to the rest of the population. Now, for us, what really helps us be who we are? We are very flexible. When I say flexible, in terms of curriculum, we are flexible. I will show you in a minute what our curriculum looks like. You can pick and choose what you want to do. You can tailor your experience the way you want to do. So that flexibility is there. In terms of duration, sometimes people say, can I do it in X number of years? Absolutely. This program can be finished in 9 months if you really want to. The max you can take is 72 months. Most of our students take 1.5 to 2 years, 3 to 4 long semester, which roughly equates to 17 to 22 months. There is a lot of opportunities to engage. I mean, engagement is the number one key. We make sure that there are enough companies that are walking the hallways in which you're taking courses. They're at events. You are participating in competitions, hackathons, going and attending conferences, getting certified. There's a lot of value in engagement, and we make sure that those opportunities are available to you. And finally, we are very heavily focused on outcomes. We want to make sure that everything that we're doing has some kind of positive benefit towards your growth as an individual. And if in case that is not helping, we immediately look into the factors that affected that and make changes, make amends to help you gain the best that you're expecting out of the program. As I said, there is a lot of flexibility in terms of the coursework, and there are 10 different tracks. It's a 36 credit STEM designated program. Half of the classes are core classes, 18 credits, which is 6 courses, and the rest of the 18 are electives. All these different tracks that you see: accounting, cybersecurity, data engineering, data science, decision and operation analytics, financial, healthcare, marketing, social media, and enterprise systems. All of these have on an average anywhere between 6 to 10 courses. So technically, to pick your 6 electives, you have close to 70 different choices. 70. I mean, think of Netflix. You want to watch one movie and you see 500 of them. We have literally Netflixed the whole curriculum here. And this is something we are proud about, because when we compare ourselves to our peers, other universities and institutions, you would go there and there might be like 10, 12 courses, and maybe you have to take all of them. And that's it. There is hardly any choice for you. But once you come here to UT Dallas, you discover that, there are a lot of different types of courses, a lot of different paths that you can take. Sometimes you don't even know about what you want to do until you are in the first or the second semester. But it will not help you if you did not have those many choices. And the other best thing that I like about this is that despite all these choices, we still let you take 6 credit hours, which means 2 courses from any program in the School of Management. So if it is not offered by the business analytics program, you can take it from another program. So 2 out of your 12 courses, 1/6 of your degree, you can pick from anywhere. So again, it aids to the fact that we are very flexible with our approach. It's a STEM designated program, which means a lot of companies look for STEM designated degree holders. It adds a lot of value to them. They know that if your program is STEM designated, then you really have very specialized skill sets. Especially if you're an international student, there is extended work opportunities because of the STEM designation. We are the largest in the country, the largest business analytics program, and our large size helps us deliver all these different classes, because if we were a small set of students, we would not be having all these different courses. So that makes it really enticing because of the large size. The average starting salary, despite our big numbers, is somewhere in the periphery of 100K. And this is an average. So last spring, we graduated 320 students. And despite the fact we had 320, we are still hitting those numbers. We have partnerships with dozens of companies. And when I say partnerships, these are not partnerships where we just, we met you once a few years ago and, well, we know that you exist. No, these are people that we vigorously, aggressively work with. These companies sponsor projects for our classes. These companies send judges to our competitions. They fund our competitions. They fund our scholarships. They mentor our students. They are there for full-time jobs. They're there for internships. I mean, they are on our speed dial. That kind of a relationship we have with these companies. And it's good for you as a student, because if we don't have these partnerships and these strong partnerships, then what will you do with your internships and job search? I mean, it'll be all on you. Now, even though we have these partnerships and we help students a lot get these jobs and internships, again, it's a shared responsibility, but still, these partnerships really help our students. I mean, just to give an example, so we run a mentoring program here. It's a select mentoring program, about 40 mentors, 35 to 40 mentors every semester. And students are paired one-on-one with these mentors. What is the benefit? All these mentors are C-suite executives, most of them. Senior vice presidents, C-suite executives, which means you technically spent the whole semester being mentored by a CEO, a CTO, a CIO, a CRO, a CFO. And if your mentor is a CEO and you're looking for an internship, I mean, this is like level 1 question. How difficult do you think your job search would be if your mentor is a CEO? So, and if they cannot hire you in their own companies, they have a network of people. They just send text messages to them saying, here is the email address, great person, strongly recommend, please hire. Those kind of text messages. So definitely these partnerships help. There's a high return on investment, which means if your entire degree is funded by a loan, let's say, you took $50,000, $60,000 of loan to pay for it. UT Dallas is known as the #1 institution in the state of Texas when it comes to return on investment, but our program is the top program when it comes to paying off your loans. Generally, an institution gives you 7 to 12 years of time to repay. Our students are taking 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 years. That's what we are hearing. I just had a student a couple of days come and tell me that his visa got picked up in the H-1B and was all approved, and he was very excited, etc. Happened recently, but he also paid off his loan in like less than 2 years. And it's not that you're hand to mouth in terms of, oh, I need to spend all the money in paying back my loan. People are leading comfortable lives. They're supporting their families, and they're still able to pay off. So that helps. Almost 600 internships were pursued last year. So 600 is an average number that we see all the time. So 500 to 600 would be the number, and the average pay would be $24 per hour, which also equates to our full-time salaries. Because generally, the ratio between internships and full-time jobs is about 1:2. $24 per hour is about $50,000, but that's as an intern. And that's the general ratio. If you're earning $1 as an intern, you earn $2 in the full-time job, and that ratio stands here. Three different formats in the business analytics program: Flex, Cohort, and Online. Flex has all the 10 tracks, face-to-face, and their online classes, self-paced and state-funded, which means if you become a TA in the program and you are an out-of-state student, you end up paying in-state tuition rates. If you take more than 12 credits in a semester, anything beyond 12 credits is free tuition, because our cap is at 12 credits. We cap the tuition, but you can take more credits. If you get a Dean's Excellence Scholarship, that changes your tuition into in-state if you're an out-of-state student, and that's like a 50% saving. Cohort is another format where we have 2 out of the 10 tracks: accounting, analytics, and data science. Same formats. They also have certain scholarships. Now, whether you get a scholarship or a TA-ship, your in-state and out-of-state doesn't change. Cohort's tuition rate is flat and fixed. Same with online. Online is completely online. Now, we don't give out student visas for the online program, but if you're a working professional, want to specialize in data engineering and data science, well, that's the program again for you. But if you're still trying to apply for Spring 22, we are accepting applications, even though we are past our deadline of October 1st. There's a $75 late fee, but we will accept it. And if you want a GRE or GMAT waiver for spring of 22, we have that also available. You just have to apply to the program and then send me an email asking for a waiver. What do we need in our application? So as I said, GRE or GMAT is needed. Now, if you're planning to apply for a scholarship, you need to submit a GRE or a GMAT. Spring 22 deadlines for scholarship is December 1st, which means your application, your scholarship application, and your official GRE or GMAT score should be with us by December 1st. If you're applying for fall of 22, then your regular deadline is May 1st. And which means all of it, including your official scores from ETS, should have reached out to us. We want your transcripts. Now, unofficial versions can work because we just need that for decision purposes. But once you're admitted, you'll be asked to submit your official transcripts. In case it takes time, you can always request some extension from admissions team. We need your resume, 1 letter of recommendation, which can come from a former professor, a colleague, a manager, whosoever has seen you work in a certain capacity. Those are good ones. Don't ask your relatives to write letters for you if they've never seen you work in a professional capacity. But it's always good to get a professional reference. And then your personal objective statement, which is more like it's a 1-page statement that we need, double-spaced. 1 page is enough. If it goes into a 2nd page, not a problem. But what we want to hear is why MSBA at UT Dallas and how does it factor into your future. Now, we don't give any application fee waivers. We are a state institution and we are not allowed to do that unless you are an alum or you're a current student who's trying to apply to this program. Just wanted to quickly take you through a few numbers here. So 2021, we had 500 internships that were pursued with about 360 employers all over the place. And even though internet and software, IT companies take the biggest pie, you can see there's still less than about 25% of the internships that were pursued. The next sector was healthcare. And we are seeing a rise in a lot of different sectors that never used analytics. So that's a good news because this means every other company, irrespective of where they lie, they want to pursue. They want to use analytics students to either develop a practice or just help with what they're doing. A spread of where our students went for the last year, and even though our students go all over the place, this is just last year's numbers. Again, Texas, California being the top 2 states, but students went to most of the states to do an internship. Averages have been up. The last one, summer 2021, has been about $26 an hour. From the average of 24, we saw almost a $2.50 jump in the rates that our students are getting in terms of their internships. The maximum was $105 an hour as an intern. So $105 literally is about $210K. That's what the student was earning. I would recommend that you go to this website, LinkedIn, and look for hashtag UTDMSBA. There are tons of first-hand accounts of internships, events, whatever people are doing in the program. And this is great for you to go and see what our students are doing in these internships to give you an idea the kind of work that they do. And of course, this is an unmoderated first-hand account of what their experience was. Strongly recommended. We have more than 350 student organizations at UT Dallas. About 70 of them are in the School of Management, but these are some of the ones that we have MSBA students lead. The SAP Users Group, Salesforce, Project Management Club, Women in Technology, Toastmasters, Cybersecurity, Marketing Analytics, Accounting Analytics. I mean, you name it, our students are there. We have some bonus certificate programs as well. So these are standalone programs. They are carved out of our degree programs, which means depending on the certificate, you might want to take 3 or 4 courses to get that certificate. Now, how does this help you? We have students who just come into the university for these certificate programs. 3 or 4 courses, they finish it in 2 semesters, 2 to 3 semesters. Most of them are 2 semesters, and they get the certificate and go. Now, depending on their residency, they might spend $10,000 to $20,000 on this one certificate. For you, who is a current student, this certificate is free. $20,000 worth of stuff for free. How is it free? Let's take the applied machine learning class. Applied machine learning has 4 courses, in fact, that you need to take. You need to take the business analytics foundational class. You need to take the stats class. Both of these classes are core classes in the MSBA program. The next one on top of it is machine learning, of course, because of the certificate. And then the natural language processing or the deep learning class, you pick one of those. All these classes give you credit towards the MSBA program. And they give you credit towards the MSBA program. They also give you credit towards the certificate. You don't have to pay the tuition twice. Whatever you paid once applies to both the programs. So what you're paying for your degree simply applies to multiple programs. So all you have to do is just make sure that you take those classes that are for that particular certificate, and you will get that certificate. Literally for free. All you have to do is just make sure your average GPA in those 4 classes is 3.0, which is a B grade. And the only thing is, once you're here, you'll have to just apply for these certificate programs. You don't have to pay any application fee as well, because you would be a current student, so that'll be waived. I would say this is a great way for you to get an additional diploma from the university, and getting it from a state-funded university. It's a state university. It's not some online certification that we are putting you through. It's a proper certificate program offered by a state university. So I think that's a major tuition benefit there. Now, are you obligated to do these? No, you're not. But if you can pick up those courses and get credit towards both your degree and your certificate, why not? People sometimes do multiple certificates because they're able to get credit towards multiple certificates. But my contact information is right here. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. I am missing my colleague Sylvia Leventhal's information right here. But yes, I will, before I start taking questions, let me just show you our curriculum page, the catalog, for a moment. So as I was saying, our core classes, we take you through advanced stats, prescriptive analytics, predictive analytics, BA with business analytics class. There's a foundational class. We teach it with R or SAS. You can choose whatever you want. A database class and applied econometrics and time series. One of the things that we excel at is, see, when you go to a job where you're working as an analytics professional, there are 3 questions that they will ask you. What happened? What will happen? What do you recommend? What happened is descriptive analytics. We teach it through advanced stats. What will happen is predictive analytics. And we teach it using SaaS. SaaS is an enterprise software that you just cannot get access to unless your company uses it or through an academic setting. And then what do you recommend? Prescriptive. So any student who goes out of the program has a solid understanding of what analytics is. See, a lot of times people just create reports and they think they're doing analytics. That's not the case. Analytics reporting comes very later in the game. Analytics is about really creating models, optimizing them, applying them, figuring out what the trends were, etc. And these courses really make you very competitive. They're very quantitative in nature. They might sometimes feel challenging, but they really are the differentiator. So when you go and work out in the market, you have that edge because of the kind of foundation that is being built. Now, these are our core classes that every analytics student has to take. On top of this, all these different tracks, all the courses that you see that are listed here, are courses from which you can pick up whatever you want to study. You can take all the 6 select courses from one track. You can take one course each from 6 tracks. It's up to you. Your degree won't say that you specialize in a certain track. You don't have to declare a track. Track is more like a recommendation. So let's say if you say, okay, what classes should I take if I want to excel in data science? Well, then these courses that we have here listed are the ones that kind of work geared towards data science. Okay, at this point of time, let me start taking some questions. I did see a few of them come in. Okay, I think the first question is Sanjana. Okay, if an international student joins MSBA in spring 22 and aims to complete the course in 3 semesters, when can they do an internship? What are the possibilities, assuming CPD can start only after 1 academic year? I'll start with the last part of the question. So CPD doesn't start after 1 academic year in this program because the program's requirement is as soon as you complete 18 credits, you're required to start an internship. So let's say you come in spring, you do your 3 or 4 courses then, and then you take a couple more in summer. Fall onwards, you're ready to do an internship because you have completed 18 credits. And you can complete it in 3 semesters. So you start in spring 22 and graduate in spring 23. Very possible. What is the difference between MS in computer science and MS in computer engineering and business analytics? Also, how does it matter if you take admission in spring, fall, or summer? Again, I'll start with the second part. Doesn't matter where you take admission in. Spring, our fall is our biggest semester in terms of the number of students that come into the program. Spring is another one where we have lesser number of students. Summer is our smallest intake, but it really doesn't make much difference to you. In terms of offerings, spring and summer technically have the same kind of offerings for all our students. And if you come in the summer, again, it's a shorter semester, doesn't hurt you too much, but I would not say that your entry will make any huge difference unless you are a scholarship aspirant, because fall and spring happen to be the semester when we offer scholarships. And in case you get the Dean's Excellence Scholarship based on your profile and the fact that you have submitted a GRE or a GMAT score, you can get up to 2 semesters of in-state tuition. If you're an out-of-state student, you will get that benefit and reduce your tuition by 50%. The second part was the difference between computer science and computer engineering and business analytics. So computer science and engineering, I'll take that together. Computer science so computer science job is very focused on developing applications. They probably may not have an idea about what the business side of things look like. Why are we developing this application? What's the business need? Who are the impacted people? Is this the right solution or not? Whereas a business analytics student will spend time on these different the different business scenarios. They will look at data, they will look at the trends, and they'll go from there. That's their point from where they will start off, and they'll provide recommendations. They might even design a solution. They might design a solution that in a way that, okay, what does the logical fitting of the different modules look like? They might talk to the clients, they might talk to the business owners, they might come up with the specifications, and then probably all those requirements that they built, they might end up creating that application themselves, or they might reach out to a colleague of theirs who's a computer science graduate and give them those specifications to go and create those softwares. From a business understanding, from a technical understanding, and the technical impact and the business impact, a business analytics student has a wider array of things that you can do. Over a period of time, the longevity of a business analytics student and this degree is much larger than any other program. And the reason why I say that is because the need for doing crucial data analysis, applying those models will not go away. It will stay and it will only grow. And it doesn't matter whether you're a fresher or you are a CEO, you are still looking at data. And the fact that your job, yes, it has a lot of things to do with data and around data. And of course, why it should not be, because that is the most important thing that helps you make decisions. Do you think people just come randomly with ideas that they want to implement? Their data tells them what to do. So you are right at the center of what makes the companies work. And then on top of it, you have skills through which you can develop applications as well. You can fine tune applications as well. You can write queries. I mean, there are a plethora of things that you can do. You can use a data visualization tool to make cases for your executives, which I would say when you look at it from a computer science perspective, there are limited number of things that you can do. Not saying that computer science students are not important, but the scope of their work is limited. And over a period of time, you can't just be coding. You will be probably leading teams, developing verticals, developing competencies, and that has nothing to do with coding. But do you need data analysis for that? Absolutely. That will never go away. What is the average GRE and average IELTS for MSBA Flex? Well, our average GREs are around 310 to 312 is what we have seen. IELTS, again, we need a 6.5 at least, but there are a lot of countries that are exempted from sending any English proficiency scores. So for example, very recently we added India. If you've done your undergrad degree in India, you don't need to submit the English proficiency scores. And you know, one of the things that you can do is if you just Google English proficiency UTD. Oh, I didn't put it the right way. Okay, the first one that comes up is, here is a list of countries where UT Dallas recognizes English as the primary language, or that they must have done their degree, the undergrad degree in English. So if you are from any of these countries, you don't have to submit any IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, etc. Admissions to the MSBA program are given on a rolling basis. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was under the impression that I was sharing my screen. This is what I wanted to show. So the list of countries, how do you get to this? So I just Googled English proficiency UT Dallas, and the first link that appeared, list of the countries, and this is the list of the countries. If your country lies on this, you don't need to really submit an English proficiency score. All right. I did talk about the MSNC as their scope. Is there a thesis requirement for MSBA program? If so, what's the process? And we don't need a thesis. What we need from you is in the first semester, you'll have to take a 1-credit professional development course, which can be waived off if you have 2+ years of experience in the United States. There are a few other criteria. If you have completed one of the other programs at UTD, that had a similar class, then we'll waive it off. But technically, it boils down to you having professional experience. Another thing is if you don't have any calculus background and you have not taken that in the past in your undergrad degree, then in the first semester you'll have to take an introductory course, which will be not counted as one of the courses in your 36 credits, but it's like a program prerequisite that you finish in your first semester. Do you accept 3 years bachelor's from India? We do. In fall 22 application, is GRE, GMAT a requirement? It is. Are there any cutoffs for IELTS or GRE? So as I said, 6.5 is for IELTS. TOEFL is 80, computer-based test. Duolingo is 105. And for GRE, there's no cutoff per se. We look at your entire application holistically to determine whether we would want to have you in the program or not. So for example, a 320 on GRE is no guarantee that you will get admitted. And a 305 doesn't say that you cannot get into it, because we look at your entire application. And we want to make sure that when we put you in the program, you are somebody who will not fail, who will not be put through a stress that you cannot handle the challenges of the program. As I said, it's a very quantified program, very specialized program as well, and that's why people end up earning those big packages in this program. Okay, Yongran, could you provide some information about the employment rate of international students within 3 months of graduation? Great question. So we look at our graduation rates at before graduation, 1 month from graduation, 3 months from graduation, and 6 months from graduation. What we have seen is within the first 3 months, irrespective of what your category is, whether you're an international student or a domestic student, we average around 90, 91, 92, 93% of our students getting employment within the first 3 months. What we have seen is there's a rising trend of students getting employment before graduating, which is a great thing. 6 months, definitely, if you're looking for employment, you would get employment by that time. Sayashri, does applicants deferring their admits affect current applicants' chances of? Not really, it doesn't. Our model is very different. We can accommodate large classes, so we are not impacted by people deferring. Now, the only thing is if you're deferring, and this is to anybody who might be on this call who already has an admit and wants to defer, if you have a scholarship, that doesn't get deferred. So you'll have to apply in every semester, and it all depends on the pool of applicants. Okay, Swatika, based in Texas and is what I need to apply as an international student or want to do internship. Well, again, Swatika, it's up to you. Whatever your current residency is, you can apply on that as well. You don't have to really convert to a student visa. But if you want to do that in the future, because for whatever reasons, a lot of times students want to have that practical trading experience that probably their current visa doesn't afford them, and that's why they convert to a student visa. I am happy to have a discussion with you offline if you want to talk about it, but you don't really need a student visa to pursue a program here at UTD. Whatever your current residency is, you can do that. Unless you are not in the country and you want to pursue this program in person, well, then of course you will need a student visa. But if you're already here in the United States, you don't really have to convert to the student visa. And there might be benefits of not converting as well. Ishijit, is it compulsory to take all the core subjects in our first semester? No. You can take electives. What we do is we recommend students to take the business analytics with our class, advanced statistics, and the database class. Now, those 3 courses are good ways to have a solid foundation, but at the same time, they are prereqs for a lot of advanced courses. But if you want to take 1 or 2 of them and maybe have some electives, you're free to do that. See, the only thing you have to make sure is that whatever courses you are taking and the future courses that you plan to take, all those courses if they have prereqs, you have taken them in the previous semester. Now, there are some courses that might have a coreq, which means, let's say, business analytics with R is a coreq for advanced statistics and a prereq as well. So you can take them in separate semesters, or you can take them simultaneously. Both the things matter. What is the criteria to get the academic excellence scholarship? Could you please explain more? Well, it's a very good question. The number one reason is we look at the entire profile of our students. That's the starter. Okay, we also look at your GRE and GMAT. And the reason why we stress on those scores is because really to give a level playing field to everybody in terms of, okay, you come from University A, another student comes from University B. If I have to, for the same cause, look at your applications side by side, there has to be some common denominator there. And that's why a GRE or a GMAT helps. That's not the only thing we look at. Okay, there might be some perception that that's the only thing that matters. It's not. We also very closely look at your scholarship essay. Now, a question that comes up is, why do we need a scholarship? Well, to offset the financial burden. That's like a common denominator for everybody. Who likes paying more? If I can tell you that something is available for $10 as opposed to $50, you would want to take the $10 version of it, right? So that really doesn't help us understand why this scholarship can help you. So people who give us good responses as to how the scholarships helps them with their academic pursuits, etc. It could be research, it could be something, and don't just write things that you don't want to do. Give us solid plans. Do not write open-ended responses. When you say I just want to further my academic pursuit, well, how will you do that is important. And those pointed essay helps us to do that. The other thing is what you have done in the past, and we'll try to extrapolate your previous performances and your experiences into that. Okay, if this student gets a scholarship, how will the scholarship help? So it's an extended process out there. Now, it also depends on the pool very much, because at the end of the day, a profile that might be very competitive in pool 1 for a certain semester might not be the same for another semester. So that's why we look at it every semester to see what kind of applicants we have. Christian, do you have any scholarship recommendations outside of Dean's Excellence Scholarship? We do. We do have scholarships that are, I would say there are a lot of financial aid that's available out there. So if you are a US citizen or a US PR, you might want to look into those areas. For most of our first term students, it's the Dean's Excellence Scholarship. And once you're a continuing student, and you can apply for a scholarship every fall, you just have to make sure that prior to that fall, the spring semester, so let's say you want to apply for a fall 22 scholarship as a continuing student, by spring 22, you should have completed 12 credits. But for our continuing students, we have tons of donor scholarships that are available during their second year. Now, one thing to keep in mind, do all of us want scholarships? Absolutely, yes. It's a no-brainer question. Do all of us get? We try to give it to as many as we can. There are people who don't get it. But not getting a scholarship in your first semester is not a deal breaker. And from experience and having seen hundreds and hundreds of students go through this in the last whatever years I've been here, some of our best students don't come in with a scholarship, but through their hard work and what they're doing here in the school, they're able to secure assistantships, they're able to secure scholarships in their second semester or the second year, whatever comes first, and they are able to fund 3/4 of the program, even though they started with no scholarship in the first semester. Second semester onwards, they might have some kind of support. Now, TA-ships are available for every semester except for the first semester, because we want you to take your courses, get a GPA at UTD. So first semester, you can't be a TA, but you can apply for a TA-ship every other semester. And the scholarships for continuing students are only available in the fall semester. So there are ways. You can be a student worker. You can be a student worker and just simply start a job on the first day of classes in the first semester, and that can also help offset some of the costs. Okay, next question. I'm just trying to see if okay. How applicants are selected? I mean, on what basis? Is there a minimum CGPA requirement? Are there any job experiences? So everything, Mandy, helps. Your work experience, your CGPA, your letter of recommendation, your own personal statement, your GRE GMAT, if you have submitted that, all of it is looked at. The entire package is looked at holistically. There's no one thing that can tank your application. There's no one thing that will pull your application out of the trenches, if it's really like that. So we look at everything. We also look at your transcript very closely, and I'll give an example. Let's say you've had a bad semester. Should we hold you to that bad semester and say that, you know what, you're not a good fit for us? We also try to look, okay, you had a bad semester, maybe you were not doing well for whatever reason, and life happens. But what did you do after that? Was there a trajectory of growth? Could we see that you were really doing well after that? Or maybe you were always upwards in terms of your academic performance? What kind of work history you have, if you have any work history? By the way, work experience is not mandatory for the program, but we look at what kind of stuff you have done. We read through your letter of recommendation to see what the person has to say about you. So we kind of correlate your letter of recommendations with your experiences, your resume, and your transcripts to kind of make a case about what kind of student would you be if you're put in the program. And if the answer outright is you're not going to be a good student and you will struggle, we don't put you through that then. But if anywhere we find that yes, you'll be a good student, well, there you go. Welcome to UTD. Where can I find curriculum fees semester-wise for fall 22 or the entire course? Is there a website where you can get? Tejaswini, if you want to use the tuition estimates, and you can build this for yourself whenever you want to. Now, I'm going to paste this link here for you to get your tuition estimates, but I'm going to share my screen very quickly to just show you how the tuition works. So if you just Google tuition rates UT Dallas, you'll kind of come to this page, and you might want to look at the rates. I'm looking at the variable rates. The first thing you have to see is how many credit hours you're taking in a semester. So let's say 9. The next is you look at the resident or the non-resident rates for the graduate students. For residents, 9 credits will cost you $7,544. For non-residents, it's $14,626. It's almost 2 times. Plus, depending on how many credits you're taking, there is a fee for the Jindal School of $100 per credit. But if you get a scholarship or a TA-ship, you fall under the resident thing. But one thing I want to highlight is 12 credits. The resident fee is $9,000. The non-resident fee is $18,000. But 13, 14, 15, you see how the tuition is not changing, which means after 12 credits, whatever you take in a semester is free. Sometimes our students pile up another course, though we don't recommend taking more than 4 courses. But if you want to, there is a benefit right there. And another thing to see is the per credit hour rate goes down as the number of credits increase. So 1 credit was $1,651 for a resident. 2 credits was $2,600, which means it's about $1,300 there. 3 credits is $3,400, which means about $1,100. So it goes down as you increase the number of credits. Your tuition estimates, and the link I just posted in the chat, you can just click on prospective students, select your status, select your residency. Let's say you're a non-resident. For fall, okay, it has not updated, but let's say we go by fall 21 right now. Variable versus guaranteed, the difference is guaranteed you're locked in that tuition. It doesn't change. Variable, the tuition changes by about 2% every year. The good thing is the variable is lower than the guaranteed rate. And this really makes a lot of difference for people who are here beyond 2 years. Most of our graduate students are here for 1.5, 2 years. So going with variable works out for them. But that's just my recommendation. If you think guaranteed is better for you, go with guaranteed. So let's say I pick that. My school is the School of Management. And then I say I take 9 hours. And it tells me that my tuition estimate is 15,526. I can print it. And if you are required to send this to your banks, let's say you're taking a loan and all, this is a good way to just help yourself get the tuition estimate. You might want to check out a webinar that I did a few weeks ago, or another one on financial planning that I've done in, I actually did it on March 23rd of this year. It's on the YouTube channel of the Jindal School of Management. And I have talked about a lot of different scenarios there in terms of how you can fund your education. That might be a good watch. Okay, we are coming at the top of the hour, so I'll quickly finish the rest of the questions. What are the factors for scholarship? We discussed that. Do you accept 3? We discussed that. Yangrong, you are welcome. Swatika, you're welcome. Anand, is there any special waiver in fee for veterans of armed forces in India? Anand, unfortunately, we don't have that, but I would. Let me see. It's only for the alums of the program who have studied at UT Dallas. Being a state institution, we cannot offer any fee waivers to anybody. So that's why only alums or current students at UT Dallas. Can you elaborate on the essay requirement, core topics to cover? Just talked about that, but talk about what made you come to UT Dallas and apply here? And then once you get this degree, how will this help you with your future plans? Vijay, I'm on an H4 visa and outside the country. I wish to change to F1. I got an admin for spring training. Please let me know the best approach. Well, since you are getting your F1 visa, that should be the thing right now. Get it, be here, and get started on your F1. I mean, there isn't much that you can do now because you've already. Oh, you wish to change the status. I'm sorry, I read it incorrectly. Now, Vijay, it's up to you. You might want to start the program on an H4 as well. If you have lived here in the state of Texas with your spouse for at least a year on H4, then you will get in-state tuition benefit. I don't know if you have the work authorization with your H4 or not, but if you want to convert to F1, you can also do it later. You can do it, maybe a year before you graduate. But if you want that tuition benefit, that's another thing. Actually, what are the expected roles we can take after graduation? Is it only business analytics, or we can do data science, data analytics? So business analytics, it's a larger umbrella. Under that, there is data science, data engineering. I mean, tons of different things that you can do as part of the program. I mean, even if you want to go into development, you can do that, software development. The only thing is you have to make sure whatever jobs you're going into, you've taken courses on that. That's a major need. And people do all sorts of roles. In fact, I would recommend that all of you do reach out, and I'm going to post this link for career outcomes, because what we have done is we have listed out all the different jobs that our students got into, the roles, and that can help you. Just a moment. All right. Let me share my screen briefly for a moment. I want to be aware of the time that we have here. But if you come to our career outcomes page, and I'm going to post it right in the chat in a second. Okay, there you go. But if you look at the top companies, what roles they went into, all that is there. But you can also look into our salary data that we publish for all the years. We talk about the top titles that our students went into, but the most important thing that we publish is what company they worked for and what was the title. We don't publish their personal information here, but at least it gives you an idea as to what kind of roles our students are getting into. So this is a good way for you to check out what's happening. Similarly, you can click on internships and get similar information about what the students have been doing. And you can also get to know the different companies that they interned with and what was the title. So I'm going to paste this one as well, which is a direct link to our internships. Tejaswini, you're welcome. Lakshmi, welcome. Sitara, you're welcome. Shivani, well, you're welcome. Christian, welcome. All right, I think we took all the questions in there. Oh, we do have another question. I'll take this last one. I have no experience in coding. Can I still apply? Absolutely. Please remember one thing. Business analytics is not only about coding. You will be taken through different classes where you'll be required to do some coding. It could be, R, it could be Python. Like I teach a class on RPA, which is directly from the data science track. And I use a low code application platform. We're still teaching coding, but we are doing low code. We don't do extensive coding on that. But if you don't have any background, not a problem. And in fact, some of our students who don't have any CSIT background or who don't have work experience, they end up being our best students. Not saying that the ones with experience are not good students, but sometimes, when you feel that, oh, I have to do more, you end up doing more and you end up getting better results. So don't worry if you don't have any experience, but I would still recommend before you come to the program, go through some basics of R or maybe Python or SQL, something to just get you started. There are lots of free resources available these days, thanks to a lot of online teaching methods. So I would recommend going through that. How long after submitting the application can we expect the response back? Well, it takes them about 4 to 6 weeks. That's the official timeline. But our team, if all your paperwork is in place, they're taking like 2 to 3 weeks in most of the cases to turn it around. And if you're applying for Spring 22, we know it is right around the corner. We are trying to turn it around very quickly. Good. Well, it was great talking to all of you, getting these questions from you, connecting with you. But this is not the last time you connect with me. You can send an email to me directly, and I'm putting my email address in the chat box right now. We also have the msbhuan@utdallas.edu, which is our program's email address. But feel free to send an email to either of these two, and we will be more than happy to take your questions and respond to them. Sure, Priya, last question. Does the content of essay writing is going to impact the student selection procedure? We need to know what exactly you are doing with the program. We need to have an understanding. Give us some idea about your goals. Now, we are not testing you for an English literature program that we will look at your essay, with that under a microscope. But we need to understand that right, what this degree is about or what this degree will do to you. If you're clueless about it and that reflects on your essay, well, then that's another story altogether. But if you have some idea, that should be good. That gives us some assurance that you are aware of what you're getting into. Vijaya, I did get your email, so we will go ahead and look into it separately. All right, everybody. Well, whatever you're doing, please have a safe weekend. If you just celebrated Diwali, happy Diwali. If you just celebrated Halloween, happy Halloween. But it's a festive season that is going to happen in the next few weeks. So enjoy your time with your loved ones, with your families, with your friends, whosoever it is. And if you're coming to UT Dallas in spring, just know that we are waiting for you. We are waiting for you to be here. If you are somebody who's contemplating coming to UT Dallas, and this last statement, not as a program director, but as somebody who was like you several years ago, I trusted UT Dallas with what they could have done for me, and they have done way more than what I expected out of this place. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to stay back and help other students. So it's a great place to be. Dallas is a great place to be. And we hope that we see you here in the program and share successes with you, build successes with you in the future. But for now, have a good weekend, and we'll again meet soon. Bye-bye.